Back in 2002, we were getting settled on our second house in Bakersfield, California. We were previously living in Jacksonville, Florida, after leaving the U.S. Navy and getting started in the real world. This was not exactly the best neighborhood to live in. There was lots of break-ins, car theft, teenagers jumping on roofs, hopping house to house, stealing stuff in the backyard. The police were called every once a week or so. There was even times that there were cars broken into with blood on the dashboard. It was not exactly the best neighborhood to live in. This one story in particular, I was friends with one of the neighbors down the street who were Hungarian, and his older brother, I think, had some mental problems, or he was just out of control as he was in his teenage years. There was times when my parents would go out and do errands or just spend time together having dinner or watching movies, etc. So they left me home alone one night and promised me to never go outside. And next thing I know, when I'm looking outside with the front door window, I saw something like a foot, and when I opened the door, right to my left corner was my neighbor's brother jumping up, scaring me, grabbing me, and going, "Ah!" And he literally said to me, "Mommy and Daddy said you're not supposed to go outside when they're not home. Ha 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 ha." And then he just runs away. Now, I don't know if this kid was fucking with me or not, but either way, the fact that this kid is aware that my parents aren't home and know that I'm not supposed to go outside and is right by my house, right at the front window, is the scariest thing ever. In 2003, not long after we moved into our next house in Bakersfield, California, in the better part of the city, me and my friends in the cul-de-sac were just running around playing on our bikes, scooters, etc. There was this one day, this car came out of nowhere, just parking on the side of the street, just looking at business cards and a clipboard. He looked like a man in his mid-30s, a little bit overweight, with a forward hat and shades, looking like maybe a solicitor or some type of employee. The guy rolled down his window and gave our attention, saying to come here. We were smart enough to not get too close. We were about maybe 10 feet away, and he said that was all he needed anyway. So he was telling us that he was driving neighborhood to neighborhood, flying out cards for a pizza place, and he wanted us kids to grab a handful of business cards and put it door to door. He did not intend for us to knock. He just said to put the business cards from door to door, and he was watching us very creepily as we did it. And once we were done with every house, the fucker didn't pay us. But anyway, it was kind of creepy as to how this man was in our neighborhood wanting to fly out business cards for a pizza place and just drove off. We were not paid for the labor, not thanked in any way. But either way, the fact that he wanted kids to do the work for him and drove up creepily without his notice, it was pretty creepy, scary, and strange. I can't remember exactly what year this took place. I think it was between 2008 and 2009. We moved into our house in Maine after we left Bakersfield, California in 2005. We had a graveyard right down the street from our house, and a lot of people would typically drive by and take pictures of it at night or fool around. I don't know if this graveyard is haunted in particular, but there was one night I went to the graveyard, walked around in it, looked at it, analyzed it, and went back home. Nothing too much in particular really happened, but not long after that, there were some strange occurrences going on in the house. The thermostat monitor that was in my room would turn on by itself as if someone was touching it, and the only way it can go off is as if someone touches it or presses a button, and it wasn't overly sensitive. And the light would flash in the middle of the night, and it would kind of scare me at times. There was also one night I was trying to sleep staring at the window with the long road with the woods all around it, and out of nowhere came this orb that was lighting up the whole room, and it was like the color of a carnation with all different colors but white flame in the middle of it, and it looked about to be 3 or 4 feet tall, and it was only for a split second, and it was about 4 or 5 feet in front of me. It appeared to be the height of maybe a child, and whatever the orb was, it just wanted its presence known. I looked at it, analyzed it, and I never saw or heard any strange presence ever again. It was summer of 2003. We were up in Sonora, California visiting family. We were at the grandparents' house and a couple of cousins were over as well. We were spending time together, having a reunion, walking around town, playing at the arcade game in the downtown area before it closed down in 2004. We were all just over there having a good time. My cousin was over. We had our skateboards, and we decided to skate at the Sonora High School, which was literally right down the road from the grandparents' house. As we were in the high school, we were just skating around the concrete, skating around the tennis courts by the football field, just having a good time doing our usual thing. It was just me and my cousin and nobody else in the area except for one or two people. Hardly anyone was at the high school unless they were there for exercise. However, a strange occurrence happened. There was one person and another person who were some kind of church people, and they were telling us to believe in Jesus Christ and praise the Lord, and handed us all these strange papers saying how this person walked into hell, or how this person believed in Jesus, or what happens when you don't believe in Jesus, basically pressuring us into religion. And at first we didn't think too much of it, and we just went on with our day. They were always at the corner of our eye everywhere we went, though, at a far distance. We would see them here. We were at the football field jogging, see them there. Skating on the second floor, trying to attempt to skate down the stairs, but we're too chicken-like. We'd see them at the corner. And when we both agreed to leave and go back to the grandparents, out of nowhere, those two people came out of the corner of a stair set, scaring the shit out of us, talking to us about how, are we believing in Jesus yet, or are we feeling it yet? And I can't remember what the lines were, but she asked for our names, but they didn't mention theirs, and was overall trying to pressure us more into religion or believing in the Lord. And we were getting weirded out by it. I don't really remember much of what they said, but I remember we were both scared and intimidated by them because there was no adult in sight. I think they were trying to lure us into their car. I can't remember, but we both agreed and said we have to get home. And we literally just walked away without saying anything. We informed our parents and grandparents what happened and showed the papers they gave us. Immediately, the whole family took action. Next thing I know, all 10 of us were at the high school looking for these people. And even one of my uncles brought one of their dogs, who was a vicious attacker. I really do appreciate the family taking action when needed. And this is before we had smartphones and tablets and social media. Their car was long gone, along with their presence, and they were never seen or heard from again.